you a professional?
Are you?
That's it, Clark. Show him who's boss.
Oh, we're all in this together.
Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to the Clark Griswold YouTube channel. I am Mr. Clark Griswold. I'm happy to be back with you guys. Happy to be here. I'm glad you guys are here. If you are a first timer to this channel, then welcome to you guys. I'm happy to have you guys here. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the strat. You better get ready to learn a lot and the easiest trading strategy you will ever learn, because that's what we do here. Okay? So if you haven't already, you can subscribe down below. Click that subscribe button and click that bell. That bell gives you notifications for when I send out videos just like this one, our daily setups. I also send out weekly swings, monthly swings, informational videos, motivational videos. You can go check out the 30 and 30 play strategy, candlestick patterns, all kinds of other videos that I've got for you guys to help you on your trading journey. Okay, you can also find me on Twitter at Mr. Clark Griswold, so go ahead and give me a follow there. You can ask me questions there, you can DM me there, and you can do the same thing down below on this video or any other videos, and I usually get back to you guys within the same day. Okay, so let's get started for our daily setups for Thursday, April 28th. Okay, I've got a few of them on here. It's a little bit tricky on these ones because we've got a lot of the plays show like we've got on Colgate here. We have this shooter candle that's a 2 down but finished green. Okay, so normally I like to look for reversals on those, but with this shooter candle we may not get that. We may have a continuation downwards as a shooter candle, basically just this big long wick that you see here with this body on the candle. It's a bearish pattern, so could go either way. There are a bunch of those on this list, so let's get at it. Colgate Palmolive CL. Let's look for a reversal on this one. We can take calls at $81.71. This yellow line is our trigger. Soon as it passes that line, we are in this play. This will be your first target, this green line. We just take the top of the preceding wick. Okay, so your next one would be, your next one would be right there. Okay, so that would be your next target. Let's move on. Let's go to Apple. This one might be, again, it's a little tough, especially with earnings on the way. Again, we have this shooter candle here. I'm iffy on this one, but if we break the trigger, we can play it. Okay, so if we break this trigger here, we can take calls at 159.80, targets at 162.33. That's this green line here. Okay, and we can call them targets, we can call them pivots, we can call them magnitude, you call it whatever you want. They all mean the same thing. Okay, so D-Dog, Datadog, had a 2 up that finished red. Means we only passed the high side of the previous candle, but we did finish red on the day, so probabilities tell us that we will trend down tomorrow. And this one is also a shooter candle, so I'd be more inclined to look at D-Dog tomorrow as a probable play. And there's your first target. Your second target is just below it. It's not very far after. And the thing with these targets, guys, is a lot of times we'll hit these targets and the price will reverse. Okay, I'm going to try and find a well, I don't know if we have an example here. Anyways, I'll see if I can find something for you guys. But a lot of times we'll hit the targets and it quickly reverses. So I try and make sure I take profits at targets, or, you know, if I'm in that 15, 20, 30% range already before I even hit this target, I'm getting out of the play, or I'm taking some profit already at 30% for sure. Okay? We want to make sure we're taking our gains when we can. Okay, next up on the list is Ford. Ford had a 2 down that finished green. It's also a Rev Strat. Okay, so that's an inside bar followed by a 2. A lot of times it reverses in the other direction, okay? Call it a Rev Strat. We also did pretty close tagging the bottom of the broadening formation here. That must be a weekly or a monthly broadening formation I've got, but I'm actually going to take that right out of there because I'm not sure. Okay, we'll take that out. So we'll look at a Rev Strat, a reversal. Any way you look at it, we're going to look for a 2 up tomorrow. We'll take calls at 15.10. Hey, Facebook, same thing. We had a 2 down that finished green, so I'm going to look for calls on Facebook tomorrow. 181.21. There's our first target. This is not our next target here. That would be your next target. This one would not, because we are lower than this previous candle here. So we go to the next highest wick, the next highest wick, then the next highest wick, then the next highest wick, and that's how we find our targets, our pivots, our magnitude, okay? Home Depot usually has higher premiums on it, guys. A little bit bigger spread. We had a 2 down that finished green again. The time frame I like, it's all green. So we can look for calls at this one at 306.42. There's your first target right there, okay? So you hit that, you make sure you take profits. Coca-Cola, again, we have this 3-1 setup. Okay, so we came down and reversed, or we started here and then reversed back up. Or where did we? Right here. We started right below here, below the trigger. So this wouldn't have been a play for you guys today. I didn't call anything out on it. But we are going to look for a Rev Strat on this one, okay? So let's move our trigger up to there on Coke. So Rev Strat, when we break an inside bar one way, there's a tendency for it to reverse in the opposite direction. This one might be a little tough, okay? Just because our target does not have a wide spread here. So we need to be careful on it. But we can look for calls on Coke at $66.27. Okay, Lucid is up next, LCID. Lucid has a nice inside bar. One of the things I love playing the most. I'm just going to move these targets slightly as they are slightly out. And one more. Whoops. Okay, so Lucid inside bar. Inside bars or a 1 bar when we're dealing with the strat. Is basically it doesn't break the high or the low of the previous candle. Okay, so it's showing consolidation, and it's like a spring. It's getting spring loaded, ready to explode to one side or the other. We have really nice gaps here in between, so there's a lot of room for this thing to move to the upside or the downside. The time frame is all to the downside, but we did also hit the bottom of this broadening formation on Lucid. If I zoom out on it, you can see the bottom of the broadening formation there. Okay, lower low, lower low, lower low. So it is quite possible that this trends back up. There is the top of our broadening formation, okay? So it's possible that this thing can go either way. This will be one of the plays I watch the most tomorrow. I'm not putting out a top 5, so watch for Lucid tomorrow with that inside bar. Okay, Lowe's is similar to Home Depot. Whoops. Higher premiums. The bid-ask spread is way higher. We do have an inside bar with a shooter candle. Okay, so we can look for calls on Lowe's at 203.46 or puts at 198.97. And we do have a little bit of room on our targets, okay, but not as good as Lucid is showing. Okay, Lululemon has really high premiums, but we had a 2 down that finished green. Again, somewhat of a shooter candle, so I'm iffy on this one, but you could take calls on this one at 361.98 on Lululemon. Lyft, LYFT, 2 down that finished green. I'm going to look for calls on this one at 33 bucks. Okay, that's where we take our play as soon as it passes that $33 line. Targets are way up here, so we have some room for it to move. Okay, Macy's, just ticker symbol M. I don't put these up very often, but this is another Rev Strat. So we had a 2 up that finished green. I'm going to look for a reversal on Macy's to come down, so we can take puts on Macy's at $24.36. MGM Grand, 2 down green. Let's look for calls at $41.13. Nike has an inside bar with a shooter candle. Okay, so we can look for calls on Nike at 124. We can look for puts at 121.09. Let's watch Nike tomorrow as well. Again, watch the bid ask and the premiums on this one as well. I think Nike usually has a pretty wide spread with the bid and the ask as well. Pfizer does not. Pfizer's got cheap premiums. The bid ask spread is usually really, really tight. We had a 2 down that finished green with a hammer candle. Okay, so that's one thing that we like to see. The day and the week are green. So let's look for calls on Pfizer at 49.91. There is our first target, and it looks like this is also tagged the bottom of the broadening formation here. Okay, so let's look for Pfizer to maybe take a run back up. Okay, so Pfizer would be one of my top 5 plays that I'd be watching tomorrow as well. So far we've got Lucid and PFE for sure that I'll be watching. Next up on the list, Plug Power. Plug had a 2 up that finished red. Okay, with a shooter candle. So let's look at Plug. Make sure Plug's on one of our lists as well. The only consideration that I would take for maybe not having it on that top 5 would be this spread, this gap between the bottom of the wicks is not very far. Okay, doesn't mean it can't run to this next target, but just be aware of that if this is something you're looking at. Okay, on Plug Power. SLB, again, this is the one that might have a spread between the bid and ask that is quite far apart, but we can look at this inside bar regardless. Full time frame to the downside outside of the year. So we can look for calls at 40.46 or puts, which are probably more probable or likely more probable at $39.29. Okay, Tesla Maesla. So Tesla has this inside bar right here, this 1 bar showing consolidation. The time frame is all red, which is great. This target and this space in between the trigger and the target is not great. So this is the second target here. We got that by going back in time, taking the bottom of the next wick. Okay, so we can look at Tesla either way. Tesla's got higher premiums for the people with smaller accounts, so you're not playing this probably, but I know a lot of the people that use the strat do play Tesla quite often. So we have an inside bar on Tesla. We can take calls at 917.94, puts at 876.94. Coming to the upside, do we hit this big target up on Tesla here? It's not likely, so we can go back on the hourly chart and find some intermediate targets within this range, or look for taking your profit if we're getting in that 30% again, guys. Next up, Uber. Uber has a 2 down that finished red on a Rev Strat, and if you look here, today this play would have been off of a 3-1 setup, one of my favorites, one of my most powerful setups that I've got and that I teach you guys. We opened up here, came up, and then came back down, hit one target, and then if we go back in time, hits our second target right there, as you come across and see. We nailed that second target here, and you would have had really good gains on Uber, okay? So Uber, we'll look for the Rev Strat, 1-2-2 setup. Okay, so we're going to look for a 2 up. Let's take calls at $31.98 on this one. 2 down, 2 up reversal is what we're looking for tomorrow. Okay, and last on the list is WFC. Wells Fargo had a 2 down that finished green. Okay, so we can look for calls on Wells Fargo at $45.19. Guys, that's a list. I'm happy to be back. I'm doing great. Thank you guys for all the well wishes that came across on Twitter. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you guys for checking in on me and all the help that was offered. So thank you guys very much. Thank you for being part of the community. I feel blessed and grateful to have you guys here and to be part of this community. Not just the Strat, but the Clark Griswold community that we're building here together. Okay, so guys, if you liked the video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe down below, follow me on Twitter, and let me know if you have any questions or comments, and we will see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.